the idea is, if you cannot be in a place of perfect peace with who you are at this moment in time, then it is very difficult for you to ascend, whether you're ascending in the sense of translating into another form, or ascending meaning you are continuing to be on the earth, but you are raising your vibration. This means that there is a gap between where you are today, because you are being pulled right and left, and where you and the process of ascension. In fact, many people are looking for this time or soon or what have you to ascend in the sense of ascending, meaning translating into the next form, not being a human anymore, translating into another form. If you're looking at it from the human perspective, this means that you die and you go somewhere else. But what happens is that even if you are, for example, thinking about this or hoping for this or wondering about this, it doesn't really matter. You are making the process harder on yourself if today you are not at peace with who you are and where you are today. You see, because today is your vibration is what's going to allow you to move to the next level of awareness. And so, in fact, a lot of people who are translating, who are about to leave the planet, I'm talking about even people who are not aware of any of this, they can't because of the gap, because on the other side, there is only absolute peace and alignment with who you really are. You return to your full consciousness and your complete consciousness, who you really are, which is the full acceptance of who you really are. But on this side, you are struggling. You're being pulled right and left, wondering, should I be doing this? Have I done enough? Should I be going this way? All of these questioning, all this confusion that is pulling you right and left is misaligned with who you are on the other side. Does that make sense? And so if you were to visualize this, so imagine that on this side you are like a box, but it's like a beaten up box. It's bent and it's completely distorted because of all of this being pulled right and left, the confusion, the frustration, the fears, and so on and so forth. And on the other side is you as a perfectly round, complete sphere, so to speak. And so if you were to match the two, there would not be a match. This distorted box is misaligned geometrically, mathematically, meaning vibrationally, with who you really are on the other side. Do you understand? And so that is the reason why a lot of people get stuck here for a very long time, being in sickness or in a coma or one thing or another, easing their way to the other side, because they are realizing at that time how much damage, how much their consciousness on this side is not matching their true consciousness on the other side. And so they try to do a lot of repair, a lot of as much kind of fixing up, to try to manage your shape, your vibration, your consciousness on this side so that you can easily fit who you really are on the other side. It's all a vibrational match, you see. And so that is exactly what I'm talking about. So it doesn't matter whether this ascension means that you are translating or staying or what have you. On the other side of this ascension is your full being, who you really are, completely coherent with the original blueprint of your consciousness and the consciousness of the universe. So you are a perfectly brilliant, gorgeous sphere on the other side. And on this side, you're a bit of a mess. And so it's not going to work. And so the idea is to try to mend this shape, this vibration, this consciousness that you're holding on this side ASAP. So how do you do that? Because the longer you wait, the longer this ascension, this transition is going to be harder and more painful. So we're talking about this now. The joining, the jumping to the other side is coming very, very soon. It is already coming. In fact, some of you are going and coming. Again, this is energetic. We're not talking about the physical portion. Everybody has a different plan. And so what happens is that you have to get yourself, while you are here on this side of the fence, so to speak, in this perfectly sphere, this perfectly complete aligned place. And that translates into being at peace with who you are, accepting who you are today. So a quick exercise to allow you to achieve this is how do you know how do you know if you are in alignment today? You can simply ask yourself a question. How are you feeling? How are you feeling every day? Are you having anxiety when you are listening to all this information out there, when you think this is going to happen and that's going to happen? How do you feel? Do you have anxiety when you are reading or understanding the process of ascension? Are you having fears? Is that triggering excitement, or is it still is that triggering a very confused energy, blocked energy? What comes up for you? This is how you know where you are. If you are feeling anxiety about the process, if you are feeling fear, if you are feeling confusion, then you're not at peace. It's very, very simple, in fact. But how many of you take the time? How many of you take the time every day to ask the question? All right, I see what's going on. I understand why. I get it. But how is that affecting me, and how do I feel about it? And so, if you are still saying it is still triggering anxiety, it's still triggering confusion, then you are in the distorted box. You are not a beautifully complete sphere, you see. Also, another question that you can ask yourself is, what will I do that is different if tomorrow is, my last day on earth? This is a hypothetical exercise. Use it as an exercise, okay? Imagine, this day has to come, whether it's tomorrow or in 2 years or in 15 years or 100 years, it doesn't matter, right? So this is the way things are. You enter a human form, a human journey, and to create a reality, and then you move to the next. And so imagine that tomorrow is that final day. So what will you do? What will you do that is different? Will you spend the day with different people? Will you choose to do another job? Will you relate to, will you eat something different? Will you dress differently? These are not shallow questions, because it's not about eating or dressing. It's about how you are focusing your consciousness, you see. You are focusing your consciousness, your relationship with your day-to-day 3D reality. If it is going to change, then today you are not at peace with who you are. You are not in full alignment, because you would be doing something different if tomorrow were your last day on earth. You understand? So use that as an exercise and see where you really are. And the faster you get yourself to this peace, this place of inner peace, perfect and full acceptance of who you are today, where you are today. If you cannot arrive to this place of perfect self-love and self-acceptance, then you are still in the distorted box. And on the other side, this ascension process that's coming faster and faster is going to be more difficult. And so this is an exercise that you can do, but you can also you can also begin to shift these things. And so, for example, today, if I notice that I am still feeling disoriented or being pulled by global events or confused as to what I should be doing, should I really write this book if, in 2012, this is going to collapse and that's going to happen? Should I really, really bother with this book that I want to write? Should I really, really bother with this painting that I started? Should I really, really go and remodel my living room and what have you? You need to be asking these questions, and don't think that the answer is necessarily no. It's not a logical thing. Quite the contrary. As you ask these questions, you will be amazed how the information or the answer may be very, very different than what you expect. So if you start to practice this today and every day ask this question, if you are not achieving full peace with who you are, where you are today, every day, then this transition is going to be very difficult. And also, you have to feel that you are fully detached from the outcome. So, for example, of course, I talk about this, but it's a very, very difficult thing to achieve because if you arrive to this place of full self-acceptance, being totally at peace with who you are, where you are today. Let's say I'm starting to write a book and I know or I feel that maybe this book will be read by others or will not be read. Will I still be writing this book? And so this is how the questions that you're asking. But on the other hand, you need to be not just making those types of decisions, but noticing how you feel. Because imagine that once you jump to the other side, this is again a hypothetical exercise. You're going to look back and you're going to say, wow, on this last day on earth, what I've done is I spent the day being frazzled, confused, running around, still questioning what to do, who do I do it with, what's this energy, how do I meditate? I spent my whole day doing that. Can you just imagine if that is the case? Or can you imagine that you are now on the other side looking back at you on earth and observing your last day on earth? You say, wow, there were so many turbulences around me. There's so many confusing things going on. It was just very difficult to focus and concentrate. And yet, I chose to continue to bring the highest vibration possible and pour it into the collective consciousness no matter what. I chose to write this information down, to paint, to express myself in an artistic way, in a creative way, just so that I keep the highest, purest vibration in this human form and leave it behind to the collective consciousness. Which one sounds better to you? What do you think? I think you should be really, really thinking about your presence on the earth and putting it in a much, much bigger perspective. Let go of the goals that you have set that are attached to a prize at the end. Whether you are going to make money from this project, whether you are waiting for a recognition from this project, this is all ego-based stuff. Begin to believe and to remember that you are still an instrument of the divine. You have within you a consciousness that is purely divine. You may not feel it every day, but that is who you really are. And as you are present in this human form, this consciousness has the ability to bring very, very pure, divine information into this human form. That's what you really came to do. So if you bring your focus to that higher, bigger picture, then your day-to-day will feel a lot better. You will begin to realize that it's more important to keep the vibration high, pure, and simply by you thinking, by you expressing love, truth, beauty, goodness. Just project it out in any way you can. And it doesn't matter. 2 people will hear you, your neighbor will hear you, nobody will hear you. It does not matter because you are still contributing. Every part of your consciousness is a frequency that is elevating the collective consciousness, whether you feel it or not. So this is what I want to, this is the message for today, is how can I be at peace with who I am, where I am in my accomplishment, in my development, in my awakening today. And that is what I'm hoping will help you bring your focus to your alignment so that you can move forward this year and of course into next year and the next, and it doesn't really matter. Always with this higher alignment, fulfilling your higher purpose, letting go of the limited human need for reward. All right, I think this is good for now. We're going to move to the healing circle. If anyone has any quick comment or question, this is the time, although we may not have a lot of information. So somebody's saying, I've been feeling quite depressed and I still feel I still have some symptoms. As I mentioned before, all of these symptoms, all of this information is part of this transition and this very, very powerful turbulences that are happening globally. You may not be aware of how your consciousness may be connected to a part of the world that's going through a lot of sadness and grief, and it seems to be coming out of the blue, but that is what is really happening. Okay. All right, so here we go. I'm just trying to see. I'm just reading a couple of comments here. This is a huge breakthrough for me. I'm exactly where I should be. Exactly, that's the point of all of this. You need to let go of how awakened you should be, how your book is going to receive. If you have not finished the class or the healing or whatever that you thought you should be doing, let it go. You are here for a much higher purpose, and you focus on accepting where you are today so that today keeps you in alignment for tomorrow. Okay, so I'm just reading very quickly. The difficulty I have is the pressure from others. I feel as though I am constantly having to justify and defend myself and so on and so forth. Again, my dear ones, that's the reason why I am sharing with you this information. So it's not that you are not caring about others. It's more about a level of trust. Do you see that when you are totally at peace with who you are and where you are today, this means that it's not just about what you think you came here to accomplish, but this is about your trust in the bigger picture, the trust that everything you are working with a much bigger consciousness, which is divine, which is source frequency. And when others tell you this or that, or you think you should be making sure that your husbands or your friends are also understanding this and that, then you're not trusting. You are still questioning. You're still confused. You're still saying, oh, but if I can do this and my husband cannot do that, or my children are going to be left behind, that is your last day on earth. You're going to look back and say, what did I do on that last day? I kept questioning and wondering about what will happen to everyone else. instead of bringing the higher frequency to others with my own consciousness. You see, it's very, very difficult. We were raised a certain way on earth, but it's very difficult to truly trust that you are contributing to the collective consciousness simply by thinking, simply by being. That is the message. And the more you believe it, the more evidence of this you will have. Don't we still need to take care of about our material needs? Of course. But see, that's the thing that I'm trying to tell you is that when you do this type of exercise, you immediately, it's like one way or another, you think very linearly. You think that if you are here very focused on the bigger picture, that means you are neglecting your material needs. This is the typical human mind reaction, that if I'm doing one thing, then the other thing has to suffer. It doesn't work this way, because everything is created from your own consciousness. So if your consciousness is vibrating very, very high, then everything follows, meaning the attraction of your material needs will be easier. You're simply not focusing on how am I going to pay rent and this and that. You're focusing on the vibration, and the way you're going to pay the rent is going to be easier. The stuff will simply come to you. So please don't hear the wrong thing or misinterpret what I'm saying. The fact that you are focusing on the higher picture, on the bigger picture, does not mean you are neglecting anything. On the contrary, you are focusing on what is going to allow you to bring about the reality of your choosing at a much higher level, and that includes your material reality as well. Okay? Many folks around, including myself, are feeling really hot hands and feet. Is this also, again, all of these physical sensations are very much part of these changes. Many people are feeling exhausted, dizzy, all sorts of stuff. Again, if any physical symptoms stays with you for over 7 days, then I would look at it. If not, I think things will come and go.